from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the X-Ring. I hope you're doing well this Memorial Day weekend, spending time with your families, but let's not forget the whole reason for the Memorial Day weekend, and that is to honor all the fallen service members that have fought for our freedoms, that have died during battle, and it's something we should always keep in mind, and we need to always fight for those freedoms. So today what we're going to talk about are PDWs, or personal defense weapons. Now, would that be a personal defense weapon? Of course, you could say it's a personal defense weapon, but I think in the realm of firearms, we're talking about a certain genre of firearms that was invented here recently. And we kind of saw that with the P90 by FN. You know, I've done a review on that. You've also seen the review of the HK, the MP7A1, and those are what we categorize as personal defense weapons. Now, a lot of you guys might say, well, wouldn't an H&K MP5 or a short-barreled AR be the same? And I don't think so. A short-barreled AR, maybe, but when it comes to 9mm subguns and all that, one of the things about a PDW or personal defense weapon is it should be small, compact, easy to control with regards to firing it, and it should also have body armor penetrating capabilities. So hence, at the request of NATO and the military and everything, the 5.7 by 28 was invented, as well as the 4.6 by H&K, and those resembled little miniature rifle cartridges. They were high velocity, low grain weight, but they were very concealable, very easy to control as far as the platform went, and they also had the armor penetrating capabilities. A PDW is also something that's very small and compact, something that you can move very easily within a vehicle or in the confines of small space. It was easy to conceal under a shoulder. Typically, they wouldn't have a stock like this. They would have some type of wireframe stock that you could pull out, which made them a lot more concealable because you didn't have this full length of buffer tube here. But here recently, I was able to get my hands on a CMMG Banshee, the Mark 57 or the MK57, and this is that unit here. So big shout out to those guys through the proper channels. I was able to get one of these, and it is not a straight blowback system. This actually comes as a complete kit. It is the upper, which comes with the charging handle, the bolt carrier group. It comes just like you see it, and all you have to do is drop it straight onto your AR lower, and you are good to go. It does use the proprietary CMMG, the 5.7 mags. These are super easy to use, super easy to reload, and they come in a 30 round and 40 round configuration. I think with the upper, you get 3 of these 30 rounders, and MSRP of this upper is going to run somewhere around $1,000 just to be able to bolt it straight onto the bottom. Now, a lot of you guys might say, well, then you got to SBR it. And yeah, especially with the brace laws, that's not that big of a deal to SBR. Hopefully, they'll get that overturned by a federal court judge putting that on hold, because I don't think this should be considered an SBR. It should be just a rifle, right? So anyway, this is a machine gun, and what we're going to do is we're going to shoot this CMMG. We're going to test the velocities. We're going to test it for armor penetrating capabilities and how controllable it is. We do have a Safariland 3A vest that we're going to shoot it into to see if we do have that armor penetrating capabilities. And guys, this thing is super lightweight in this package here. I mean, yeah, I'd have to balance it a little bit, but 2 fingers and I can control it. Someone that has a very small stature would have no problem controlling this. So let's go ahead and get this evaluation underway. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how it fires, how it functions. And we do have a slew of different ammunition that we're going to be using today. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we have the lab radar set up. What we'll do is we'll just do a couple rounds with this just to see if we can get a velocity, and I'm not checking accuracy or anything else. Let's just see what we can get here. Here we go. And it's still thinking. 1805. 1805. Here we go. All right, so we have a malfunction and we have a fail to fire. It could have been because of the weight on the magazine. I don't know, but let me check it again. Let's clear this. Oh, first malfunction, but it is new. I didn't put any oil on it, so let's do another one. 1753. I'm just slightly high on what I'm trying to shoot at, so that's an impact. So 1750 to 1800 is what you're looking at on this. Like I said, malfunction. I'm not going to make any excuses for it. You guys saw it. That's what we got. We had a malfunction, fell to feed, but we'll try to throw some oil on it and see. It is a brand new setup. So what we're going to do now is let's go ahead and compare it with like a 62 grain, a 5.56, see what kind of velocity we get out of a 5.5 inch barrel. So let's see what happens there. All right, so this one right here is, this has an SLR Rifle Works. It was by Veritas Tactical. This one's been very controversial, or a lot of people commented that this is completely useless for the 5.56 round. But you have to remember, for the application, you have something that can defeat soft body armor. It is in a small package, almost the same size as the 5.7. I think the advantage of having this is the fact that you do have the 5.56 rounds. Let's say you have guys on your team or something like that, or guys that you're shooting with that have longer barrels, you have the same magazine, so the continuity is there. You don't have a caliber difference. The disadvantage of this is, are you going to be able to stabilize the bullet? How accurate is it going to be? You shouldn't be taking long range shots anyway with the PDW, but also all of that unburnt powder, this is going to have one heck of a pumpkin ball. There's no doubt about it. Sure, you can get some different LE ammo with flash suppression in it, but let's see what kind of velocity we have, and then also we'll look at the energy as well. So let's go ahead and start a new series. I'm going to be shooting the 62 grain green tips, the penetrator. Let's see what happens. All right, so we have everything set up on the lab radar here. We'll just do 3 rounds like we did with the other one, because that way we can compare the energy and all that. But yeah, she's going to have one big pumpkin ball, I can tell you that. Here we go. Impact, and our speed is 1694. So we have a little heavier bullet, but we have less velocity. We're losing a lot with this short barrel, but that was an impact at 100. Let's do another one. Impact again at 100. 1747. So big fluctuation in velocity, but then again, green temps aren't really known to be accurate. Impact again. So 3 hits, no problem, 1 for 1. So the accuracy for both is still there. And I think my battery just died on the lab radar, but we got the information that we needed. All right, so we're gonna start off with the 5.7 first. We do have a magazine of 30 in here, and man, I'm excited to shoot this thing. So what we do is we've got some targets. I've got a side step to hit this one here, but I just wanna see how it shoulders, how it feels. It is super lightweight, and we've got a man steel, the spinner, as well as the one in the trees. So if it's a PDW, here we go. All right, so no problem whatsoever hitting those. Let's go ahead and get a little bit closer here, because one thing about the 5.7 that I know is it doesn't have a lot of energy on target. It does have a lot of velocity. It's got good expansion, but shooting at that spinner there, I don't even know if it's going to be possible to spin that, but we'll try it here because it is quick. So here we go. It's barely moving it enough, okay? What we'll do is let's step a little bit closer. And we're gonna check this as a PDW on the little man steel. And here we go. Yeah, no problem controlling this in full auto. Let's get a little bit closer here. We'll just check out the rise. We'll go offset right here. And we're not worried about the target, but we'll see how controllable it is as a PDW. Here we go. Yeah, no problems at all. We did get last round bolt hold. It's very, very soft, I can tell you that. A lot softer than a 5.56. So what we're gonna do is, and I don't like to shoot steel this close, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna back up just a little bit, about another 10 feet or so, and then we'll try it with the 5.56 and give you my thoughts on that. All right, so now we have the 5.56 with the 5.5-inch barrel. We'll do the same drill on this. Let's go ahead and go for the steel. No problem. Impact, impact, impact. Definitely has a lot more energy on target, but I do see that big pumpkin ball. So let me go ahead and stand where I was standing to try to spin this. So here we go. And this is a rifle rated spinner, by the way. Yeah, you can definitely tell the energy difference. I think the recoil is going to be more, so we're going to stand this way. This is exactly where I stood before. And we will go full auto on the third IPSC. Here we go. Everything was right there at it. Cyclic rate is a little bit faster, but she runs. So now let's see if either one of these or both of these will defeat threat level 3A armor. Just to know, because on a PDW, that's one of the things you're looking for, is defeating soft armor and not just shooting a subgun. Anybody could shoot a 9mm. It's going to be stopped by a ballistics vest. And so let's see what they'll do. Now, one of the disadvantages of a true PDW is the fact that it is very expensive to shoot. So the ammunition is not going to be inexpensive. For today, we do have the SS-192, we have SS-195 LF, and then also the 198, the law enforcement lead-free rounds. I don't have any of the standard 40-grain blue box. You know, this stuff was really designed as a 20-grainer, and the 40 was really a neutered round, if you will. So we will be trying to shoot this through this level 3A vest right here with this ammunition. Like I said, I just don't have any of the other stuff, but most of the ammunition in the store price is going to run about 50. Oh, that was a mess. $50 a box, and I wish they packaged it a little differently. So now I have to pick up about 48 rounds off the ground. So let me do that first. All right, so for the penetration test, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a camera up here. We do have a freshly painted piece of white steel with no impacts on it, and we have a single layer of 3A, because I don't want to put it in the back because we need to see if it'll actually go through and then damage the dummy here, but there's no way to tell that other than being able to see if we do get any type of pass-through through this. I think we will. We're also going to test this on a 5.56. All right, so before we get started, please keep in mind that a PDW is designed for close range work. Yes, you can make impacts at 100 yards. That's not a problem with any of these platforms, but we're going to do this at about 12 yards. We're going to shoot that vest there and see if these 3 rounds will go through it. And the way that I have it loaded up into the magazine is we have the 198 first, then the 195, then the 192. You think it's going to go through a 3A vest? I'm not sure, because a 3A is not like a normal vest. It's extra ballistic protection. So a 3A can stop more than, let's say, a level 3. So 3A is more of an entry-level vest. It's what you would use when you hit a house or something like that. They're very heavy, very bulky. They usually have neck collars and everything else. I've removed all of that. So let's go ahead and try this at 12 yards. All right, 12 yards. Here we go. Think it'll go through? Let me just go dead center. That's the first one. That's 198, 195, 192. So that's 3 rounds. I didn't hear any steel, so I think the 3A vest actually stopped the round. All right, so in all my testing with little PDWs, that's kind of what I found out, is that it wouldn't typically go through at about 12 yards. Now, if we get a little bit closer to the up close and personal range, I'm going to go to about 8 yards or so, and I think it might go through there. I don't know. Remember, we're losing a lot of velocity out of this barrel, even though we are slinging them at about 1750. So let's go ahead and try this at about 8 yards, which is right here. 198, 195, 192. All right, so checking the steel, you guys did see it up here close firsthand. Nope, nothing. We didn't get anything, no impacts on it. Let's try it with the 5.56. All right, so some of you might have been interested to see that test because most people are going to think it's going to go right through, and it usually doesn't, not for a 3A. But it will go through a lot lighter vests, like 2s, 2As, any of that. It usually goes through without any issue. What we're going to do now is step it up to that little 5.5 inch 5.56. Now, this is going to be a lot more harder to control, especially on full auto, but we're going to use 55 grain, just PMC X-Tac, not a green tip or anything. And then I also have some M855 A1. We'll try one of those and see. We'll try it at 12 yards. Let's see if we get any penetration through the vest. All right, so we are at 12 yards. We're going to do the PMC first, the 55 grain, the short little 5.56 on the 3A. All right, here we go. We go dead center. I heard some hard steel on that one. And then the 855, definitely heard steel on that one. Let's go and see what we get. All right, so as we approach, we can definitely see an impact there. I think we'll have to review the camera footage and see which one actually went through, but we have a slap there off to the side. I would guess that's the 855, and that might be the 55 grainer, or maybe not, I'm not sure. As far as the vest, I was aiming here and here. So yeah, definitely has a little bit of more penetration with the 5.56 over that 5.7 round. All right, so at what point is the 5.7 by 28 going to be able to penetrate that 3A using this shorter barrel? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stand right here on the 5 yard mark. I'm gonna offset myself just a little bit, because at 5 yards, we might have some luck here. Now, I don't recommend you trying this at home, but I do have the vest in front of me. Here we go, 198. Sounded like steel. 195 and 192. All right, so coming up here at 5 yards, did it go through the 3A? And I do see 3 impacts there. So at 5 yards, yes, it will defeat the 3A body armor. All right, so in closing, the CMMG, the MK57 is an awesome little platform. It shoots a true PDW cartridge that does have armor penetrating capabilities at that 5 to 6 yards range, somewhere in there. While $1,000 might seem expensive, it's probably one of the least expensive PDWs that you're going to be able to get into. So if you look at a PS90 or some other offering, you're starting to see more companies coming out with the 5.7 cartridge. I think this is going to be one of the most viable options. They're familiar controls, you're used to them, you're not having to learn a different manual of arms. The cleaning is the same, and CMMG with that radial delay blowback, it actually works very, very well. This is one of the softest shooting ARs you're ever going to shoot, other than, let's say, a 22 long rifle conversion. So it is a great setup. The only malfunction we experienced was the one on the range for the very first shot when I was trying to get a speed, but remember, we were braced off the bottom. I didn't have any issues whatsoever with this throughout the whole evaluation. Big shout out to the folks that made this possible to be able to evaluate this, but also know your firearm. Know that, yes, it can defeat body armor, or it might not, depending on the distance, and I think this is a great little package. Now, with regards to a short-barreled 5.56 like this one, the exception of the fact that it's a little harder to control, especially on full auto, and you have that big pumpkin ball flash that you've got to deal with, especially if you were shooting at night. You are going to experience a little bit of night blindness because it is rather bright because of that unburnt powder. But for people to say that this has no place, I think it does have a place. At twice the distance, it was able to defeat the 3A, not only with 55 grain, just standard full metal jacket from PMC, but also with the M855 A1. So this is a neat little package, although it's extremely loud, very angry. It is a fun little gun to shoot, and it has no problem making impacts at 100 yards. You guys heard that and saw that on the video earlier. I haven't tried to take it past 100 yards, but I will tell you that shooting like 55 grains out of this, you're typically going to get keyholing at 100 yards. That's going to be the downside of this. The advantage of this is availability of ammunition, whereas shooting the 5.7 is going to be very, very costly, to the point of you're going to pay around $50 in the store for a box of 50, whereas this stuff you're getting 20 rounds for about 11 bucks now. So at least is what it's come down to. So I hope you guys enjoyed that evaluation of the MK57 and comparing some of these little PDWs or personal defense weapons. I think they're actually really cool, and if you wanted to do it right, you could put that little wire stock on here and it's a lot shorter. Guys, I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. Remember the reason for Memorial Day, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great week. All right, I think the only fair way to do this is without any optics. It does have the charging handle and the bolt carrier group. So the CMMG comes in at 2 pounds, 8 ounces, 2 pounds, 8.3 ounces. Let's go ahead and check the 5.56. Let's go ahead and check it, see where we come out on it. And it's 2 pounds, 14 ounces. So definitely a little heavier. All right, so you can use a suppressor with the 5.7x28. There are a lot of 22 long rifle suppressors that are rated for 5.7x28. Just check with your manufacturer's recommendations because there are some that don't allow it and can't handle that pressure. Now, this is a Rugged Oculus, which is a great 22 long rifle can. It is full auto rated for the 5.7, but what we'll do is we'll just shoot a couple of rounds into the dirt here so you guys can hear it on the camera. And it does take a lot of the snap off of it, but it is still rather loud. As far as shooting these one-handed, very, very easy to do. Let's go ahead and back up and see if we can get some of these shooting on some steels. But I will tell you that you can shoot steel and see that it doesn't react the same way as, let's say, a 9mm or something stronger. Now, I have very fond memories of attending the Tactical Police Championships, which I won a long time ago. It's about 10 years ago or so. And I remember that there was an agency that showed up and they were carrying 5.7 pistols with P90 subguns. And the problem is they couldn't knock over any of the steels. Now, that steel there is calibrated such that 9mm has no problem knocking it over. A 22 has a little bit of issue knocking it over. You have to hit it high. So what I'm going to do is on this 5.7, I'm actually going to aim high on it. We've got the camera going down range. We're at 20 yards, and I'll let you decide about the energy that this has. Here we go. And that's aiming high on the plate. If I aim a little bit centered, it has to take time to fall. As far as shooting this one-handed, I'm going to turn this over this way so you guys can maybe see this. Guys, there is no recoil with this thing whatsoever. Here we go. I mean, very, very little recoil, very controllable. All right, so this is rather stupid, but here we go to show you the controllability. That was 10 rounds rather quickly.